The worst team in baseball comes to Seattle tonight, and the Mariners need to take care of business. Let's talk about it here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Mariners podcast. This is Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms with new episodes dropping every Monday through Friday. I am your host, Fedde Gonzalez, joined as always by my co-host, Colby Patnode. We cover the Mariners over at InsideTheMariners.com for Fan Nation over on the Sports Illustrated Network. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DaneGNCLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/control the zone. We post 2 additional podcasts on there every single week. Again, that is patreon.com/control the zone. And if this is your first time joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. On the show today, we're going to tell you our thoughts heading into the Mariners 2-game series with the Washington Nationals. 2 players the Mariners will need to produce in order to have a successful homestand, and what to watch for in the AL wildcard standings this week. But first, Colby, again, the worst team in Major League Baseball is coming to Seattle for a quick 2-game set. The Mariners, of course, swept this team in Washington last month. And in that time, the Nationals, of course, traded Juan Soto and Josh Bell. And Juan Soto was really the only guy that did a significant amount of damage against the Mariners the last time these 2 teams met. So a lot of firepower missing from this Nationals lineup. Of course, they've been awful. How do you feel going into the series if you're the Mariners?
That I need to take both of these games. It's hard to beat anybody twice in a row. Sweeps are hard, but this is a bad baseball team that got a lot worse since the last time you saw them. You need to take both of these games. Is it a disaster if you split? No. Is it a big missed opportunity? Yeah. I mean, we're 40 games to go here. We're at the end of the line. You can't afford to punt games against bad teams like this. I think you have to go into this thinking that you need a sweep. The pitching matchups certainly favor you. You're the better team on paper. There's really no question about it. But you still got to play well, because the Padres, they did not fare too well against the Nationals in their 4-game set this last weekend. They were able to barely split the series with a 2-1 win on Sunday. So the Nationals playing some decent baseball right now. Again, they still have, Cesar Hernandez, I think, Nelson Cruz, Keibert Ruiz is a pretty good player. So they still have some pieces here and there that you have to be careful with. But ultimately, this is a team that you have to beat. You have to beat them twice. And hey, you know what? Why not just beat them badly? How about that for a nice change of pace? Just, inferior team, put them to bed early, put their fans out of their misery. They're going to stay up until 10 o'clock to watch this game. I don't know, maybe, but don't ever give them a chance. Yeah, don't ever give them a chance. Just put them down early. Hopefully Robbie can go, 6 or 7, look pretty good tonight, and then maybe save up the bullpen for tomorrow. You got a big series coming up against the Guardians. So you don't want to overlook the Nationals, but you want to go into that series with some momentum. So I think it's pretty important that they win both of these games.
Yeah, and the pitching matchups line up favorably for the Mariners. Robbie Ray going on the bump tonight for the M's, and then George Kirby tomorrow against Anibal Sanchez. Tonight it's Eric Fedde on the bump for the Nationals. Fedde actually gave this offense a little bit of trouble last time they saw him. What's the plan of attack for the Mariners against Fedde?
Well, Ty, I mean, last time they faced Fedde, Kyle Lewis and Mitch Haniger weren't healthy, so clearly that's all that needed to change. They're both back and ready to go. No, I think you have to have better at bats. It really is that simple. The Mariners have been prone to throw up a lot of innings where they have zero good at bats. It's one of those things where this lineup is inconsistent. It's why we talked about them needing to add a bat at the deadline. They really didn't. They said Mitch Haniger was our ad. Mitch Haniger's been good. The offense has still been wildly inconsistent. So you got to attack the guy. I mean, you can't let him get into a groove. You got to get runners on early. You got to pressure him to make pitches, good pitches, quality pitches. And when he makes a mistake, you have to punish it. That there's just really no way about it. Fedde is a number 5 at best. And those are the type of pitchers you have to beat. It's very unlikely that he's going to just, show up tonight with amazing stuff. And you're just, we didn't see that coming. You know who Eric Fedde is. You have to attack him. You have to hit him hard, and don't let him get comfortable. Score early. Get guys on base early. Put the pressure on him to be perfect with his pitches. And, if he makes a couple really good pitches, find a way to spoil them. Get him in the zone, attack, and score some runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we talk about the Mariners' path to finally ending this drought being easy the rest of the way, it's because of series like this, right? You have to be able to win both of these games against the worst team in Major League Baseball. Can't have a repeat of your weekend in Oakland. Can't have that. Yeah. Have to take advantage of this opportunity because you need to keep on, staying in line with the other teams that you're in the mix with in the wild card race, and maybe even gain some ground here. Give yourself a little bit of a cushion, even more cushion, especially from the first team out of the wild card race. So got to take advantage of this big series for the Mariners and a big homestand in general for the Mariners. We're going to be talking about 2 players that need to have a huge homestand in order for this team to come out of this homestand successfully, having winning at least 3, 4, 5 games. That'd be nice. That'd be nice if they could be able to come out of home with quite a few wins in their pocket. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder: this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job on the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. And simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every single day. We greatly appreciate your support. So Colby, fill in the blank for me. In order for the Mariners to have a successful homestand, blank has to be huge.
I'm gonna go with Jesse Winker. Yes, the Mariners are facing a ton of right-handed pitching on this homestand. I believe all 6 starters are right-handed. So Winker, this is when he needs to shine. He's been a lot better for the last month or so. Still some bad games here and there. Some truly bad at-bats, particularly against velocity in. He's still, while he's getting better at hitting that pitch, he's still popping that middle end fastball at 93, 94 up quite a bit. So Winker really has to step up. Julio started to get it going again in Oakland. So that appears to be something that's, figured out. Ty France, I would say France, but I have no confidence that he can actually do that right now. So I think for me, Winker needs to have a big week because I think he's going to have to pick up the slack for Ty France. And obviously, everybody else has to contribute, but I think Winker is the difference here in the middle of the order, facing all these right-handed pitchers.
Yeah, for me, it's France. Because, the thing that we talked about yesterday with potentially moving him down the lineup, Who knows if that's actually going to be the case going into the series? I know you have some doubts. I have my doubts. So, we'll see how that goes. Probably by the time that this episode is out, we'll know what the lineup is looking like. But if Ty France is still in the 2 spot, he's got to produce. No way around it. Have to get him, to produce here because, and also as you mentioned, right, you're going to face a lot of right-handed pitching. All 6 starters in this homestand are right-handed, and plus you're going to see guys like Shane Bieber, you're going to see Zach Plesac, you're going to see Aaron Savali, you're going to see some Tristan McKenzie. You're going to see a lot of good pitching coming up, especially in that Cleveland series. And Ty France has been your best hitter against right-handed pitching, 289 average this year. He's got to be able to produce here. If not, this offense is going to slump once again, and it doesn't matter how good your pitching is because you can't win games, 0 to -1. Can't do it. So you have to be able to score runs here, especially against Cleveland, because they have a decent enough offense that they are going to be able to score runs off of your pitching staff, and you're going to have to be able to keep pace with them. Plus you got Marco Gonzalez pitching in one of those games in the series, like
against Tristan McKenzie,
Logan Gilbert, who's struggled as of late, obviously
against Shane
Bieber. So yeah, you're going to need to be able to score runs here. Ty France is a huge piece of that. They're going to need him to get off of the snide here. I don't know if he's actually capable of doing it, but I think in order for them to have a very successful homestand, Ty France has to be a big piece to it.
Yeah, it's, again, you got to get through Washington. You don't want to overlook them, but there's really not much to talk about with them. If you play well, you will win both of those games. It's really that simple. The Cleveland series, Cleveland's hot right now. They're kind of starting to run away with the Central. You're going to get their 2 best arms, and you're going to get 2 guys who are quality major leaguers, but they're number 4s. They're not special, and you're going to counter those guys with year 1 and year 2. So, Cleveland is a dangerous team. They pitch very well. They have a good bullpen. They make a lot of contact. So while the offense isn't prodigious, there's not a ton of home run power in this lineup, aside from, Jose Ramirez, who's great. And obviously guys like Josh Naylor have tremendous power as well, but it's a lot of contact. They put the ball in play. So your defense is going to have to be sharp as well. So with that being said, maybe Jesse Winker DHs 6 times this week. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Or 5 times. And maybe you try to get away with 1 start in left field, but you kind of want your best defense out there. That means hopefully Haggerty is available and ready to play in the outfield. Hopefully that means that, Adam Frazier remembers how to field a ground ball this week. I still have not forgiven him for that disaster in Oakland. At least squat down. That's all I'm saying. So the defense is going to have to be better because they will put the ball in play. And if you give them extra outs, you're not going to get a ton of second and third against Cleveland with 1 out, and you're going to get that key strikeout you need. They're going to put the ball in play, and runs are going to be at a premium all week. So I think it's important for somebody on this offense to step up and have a big week. And I just feel like with all the righties in there, it's probably Winker. But hey, it needs to be somebody other than Julio, somebody other than Mitch Haniger, basically, is what I'm looking at. And ideally it would be somebody who hits somewhere at the top of the lineup so that you can really put the pressure on these guys. Maybe it's Cal Raleigh, maybe it's JP Crawford, who, been better recently. But I just think Winker carries the most upside and the most impact in his bat. So if he has a really big homestand, I think the Mariners are going to do pretty well.
The other name I would throw out here is Eugenio Suarez, who's been slowly but surely coming out of his slump here as of late. The issue, though, a lot of right-handed pitching coming up, so who knows if that's actually going to be able to continue. But he's had some better success as of late, so we'll see. Hopefully he can be a part of this too, because they need, like you said, they need someone. They need at least a third guy outside of Julio and Mitch, because I think you can count on Julio and Mitch to have decent series here at least, if not better. But you're going to need at least a third guy here contributing with some sort of regularity over the next 6 games.
Let me ask you this. With all the righties coming up and with September call-ups 8-9 days away, would you consider demoting Dylan Moore and calling up Taylor Trammell, and then just recalling Demo on September 1st? Because we know he's not going to get a ton of at-bats against all these righties. There's really no lefties in the pen of Cleveland in particular that are worth worrying about. It's Clase, it's Karen Check. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's to me, I think I would consider calling up Taylor Trammell for this week, and that also helps me defensively as well when Cleveland again puts the ball in play a lot. So, what do you think? Would you do it, or do you want Demo's like speed and versatility off the bench a little bit more?
I mean, I know this isn't necessarily what you asked me, but I'd rather just DFA Carlos Santana and call up Taylor Trammell.
Yeah, but we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So,
So, oh, by the way,
I think that is.
Santana
Sorry?
shouldn't play much either. He's bad against right-handed pitching. So
Yeah, he is. Well, and that's another reason why I was saying that too. Is if we're sending Demo down for the right-handed, for the handedness sake, why not, or at least partly for the handedness sake, why not just DFA Carlos Santana, who's pretty much as useful as Demo is against right-handed pitching. So, I would say, that's a good question. So you would have to be without Demo for 3 more games, I believe, after that as well, before the rosters expand. So, I could use the left-handed hitting. I could use the left-handed bat right now. Honestly, Taylor Trammell would be huge. He's having a good time right now in AAA, and it's only for a little while that you have to deal without Demo, and you still have someone that can play a few defensive spots in Sam Haggerty. So you're not entirely missing that if you're dealing without Demo for the next week. I don't think the Mariners would do this, just to answer your question though, but I would do it personally.
Yeah, the Mariners seem to care about having a backup shortstop on their roster, even though they have Adam Frazier. And hey, if something happens to JP, you can just call up Dylan Moore. Right, he's right there in Tacoma, right down the highway. So, I think I would do it. And also, I think kind of the X factor here is what's going on with Sam Haggerty, right?
Right.
He got scratched on Sunday. He was able to run, but he didn't get an at bat, so we didn't get to see if he could swing the bat. He wasn't the defensive replacement in left field. They actually put Jesse Winker out there, which yuck, which immediately backfired too, by the way. So it's just one of those things like if Haggerty can't play, if he can't swing, are you really going to have 2 guys on your bench, or really 3 guys on your bench that you're just never going to use unless you want to run? You know what I mean? It's just so. If Haggerty might get put on the IL, and that might be how Trammell comes up. So we have to wait and see if Haggerty's in the lineup tonight, or we just really didn't get a very good update from Service on Haggerty. What was wrong with Haggerty? So we'll see. We'll monitor. Lineups will probably be out by the time you guys are listening to this. So you'll have an idea of what's going on. But I think I would consider Taylor Trammell, finding a way to get him up here. It's just Demo, you can do that without having to DFA anybody. Not that I'm opposed to DFAing Santana or Lamb, just that the Mariners probably want to keep them, and if you could just send a guy down for 10 days instead of DFAing somebody, I think that's probably the route you should go. So
all right, so let's switch gears here. Let's do a little scoreboard watching. What's going on right now around the league? What should Mariners fans be keeping an eye out for right now? The Mariners trailing the Rays by half a game for the first wildcard spot. They're kind of tied with the Jays for the second wildcard spot, but there's that 0.5% winning percentage thing that's keeping them in the third wildcard spot right now. Nevertheless, they're right there in the mix. So what should Mariners fans be looking at right now?
Yeah, so it's, again, you guys may or may not know this. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show. My philosophy is to worry about the Mariners. I have a number I think they need to hit to get into the playoffs. My number is 88. So for me, I'm looking for 22 more wins here in the next 40 games. But if you're a more traditional scoreboard watcher, and at some point we all will be, you have some interesting choices to make this week. But we'll start with Tampa Bay, since that is the team you're chasing. The Angels are in town into Tampa Bay. So do you root for the Angels even when they're playing in Tampa? No, for me, go Rays, but whatever. I'm cynical. So that's one there. So I guess if you really care about that wild card one, you have to root for the Angels for at least another 2 days. So that's fun. Then you have Toronto is actually in Boston getting ready to play the Red Sox. Yeah. Um, probably not going to get a ton of help from Boston, but you never know. They're in Fenway. Crazy things happen in Fenway.
Mm-hmm.
So you're definitely going to want to root for the Red Sox in that series. Houston at Minnesota, or sorry, Minnesota at Houston. Yeah, you got to kind of swallow your pride here, and you got to root for the Astros in this one. The Twins are fading pretty fast here, and obviously playing Houston is a bad draw for them. I think they have to play them 6 more times after today as well, so they're going to see a lot of the Astros. And hey, what do you know? Justin Verlander is going up against some dude with a 7.5 ERA, so kind of like those odds. So go Astros. Then kind of a really a fun one actually, and I believe this is the free game of the day on if you have an MLB TV subscription. Cleveland at San Diego. San Diego struggling pretty heavily. I believe they are 5 games under 500 since the Juan Soto trade. Classic Padres. But again, obviously here you're rooting for the Padres. Cleveland, I think they're probably going to end up winning that division anyways, but still you want them to lose just in case it comes down to a wild card spot. So yeah, you have some interesting choices there. I think probably the one that's most interesting if you're trying to pick and choose who you want competing against you in the wild card. You have Baltimore Chicago at Baltimore. So White Sox, Orioles, both of those teams kind of fading lately. The Mariners do have the tiebreaker over Baltimore. That's going to factor into your decision making at all. But yeah, that's an interesting one. You can root for Baltimore to essentially finish off the White Sox in this playoff race, or you can root for the White Sox to kind of kill any momentum that Baltimore might be looking to add here. And that matchup is Dylan Cease versus Austin Voth. So advantage White Sox, but we'll see. It's been a crazy year for Baltimore. So that's what you're looking at right there. You Chicago, Baltimore, you're probably rooting for the Angels, you're probably rooting for the Red Sox, and you're probably rooting for the Astros and the Padres.
So yeah, let's talk about the Chicago-Baltimore series. Like, should we be rooting for there? What's the best outcome there in your mind?
Yeah,
I guess the bigger question really is like, who are you more concerned about?
In the playoffs, Baltimore knocking me out of the playoffs, Chicago. So yeah, Chicago's probably more talented. It's closer than you think. But the one thing that's a huge benefit to Seattle here is that they do have the tiebreaker over the Orioles. So any question to playoff seeding, Seattle has the advantage there. So it's just one of those things where you can kind of pick and choose whatever scenario you want to focus on here. To me, I'm probably rooting for the Orioles just because I feel like they're still going to fade at some point, and the Mariners have the tiebreaker over them. So I'm probably rooting for Baltimore to try and bury the White Sox. It's not going to happen entirely. Like, they can't eliminate the White Sox, but every loss that Chicago piles up right now is just a huge obstacle for them to overcome. They have to jump over, I think, 5 teams right now, 5 teams for the number 1 wild card. They have to jump over 3 teams, I think, to get into the wild card position. So I think burying Chicago is probably the best thing for the Mariners because again, you do have in your back pocket the tiebreaker over Baltimore, and Baltimore is going to play the American League East, which they're good against. Don't get me wrong, but that is a more difficult schedule than Chicago, who's playing the Central most of the way out.
For sure. Lots of good baseball just going on in general now, right around the league. So lots of fun stuff to watch. Of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the Mariners and what they do tonight against the Nationals. Hoping for a win, hoping that they can take care of business against the worst team in baseball. Got to do it. Got to get these wins. So that is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's TANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Now make your second listen to the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.